Isn't that silly? I don't. I don't know why tech is that way. All right, cool. Well, we're recording now. Very cool.
Perfect.
So, yes, as we were saying, sorry to those listening with the tech headache. So I have two categories of calls. One is I do a live Q&A inside of the AAA Accelerated community every Monday night, kind of for as long as possible, and then usually an hour or two. And then I do these live Q&A calls on Tuesday afternoons for a little bit longer, and then for 2 hours for sure. And then we are experimenting. I used to do 4 hours a day of one-on-one calls, but what we found is it's better for everyone involved if there's a group environment most of the time. So it's been good, but man, I'm loving having the Q&A calls and having people be able to popcorn questions for 2 hours. Keeps me on my feet, you know what I'm saying? And
I
um,
know. It's a lot of info.
anyway, well, I'm glad you've been on there. So thanks for making time today. The only other thing I need to do, and again, my apologies, is read a disclaimer. It just says, by joining this call, obviously you agree that this conversation is recorded, can be broadcast live, and future replays across all platforms. It's coaching, obviously not legal advice, financial or professional advice, and you're responsible, of course, for your own decisions or results. So if we're good with that, we can proceed.
Just wondering, like, when I schedule it, I think it's for half an hour, right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have some questions that I haven't been able to hop on the Q&A that probably right now will be useful because
Let's do it.
after in an hour I will go to one of my first clients. So I wanted to
Oh
just
yeah, man. Anything,
yeah.
sky's the limit. And if you need a few extra minutes, and it's up to
It,
you. I'm happy to give you a
if it
couple of.
was for me, yeah, if it was for me, I would stay, but I need to go there.
No, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, in order to make this as valuable as possible, let's dive in and let's
So,
just pound these questions at whatever speed you need.
perfect. So just what I was saying before, I'm from Mexico, so the this I've been in the AAA for 1 month and a half,
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm not a tech person. I love tech, but I'm not in the. I don't have a tech background. I'm a financial engineer. I been working in solar consulting for a lot of years in my own company, and now I'm hopping on the AI agency. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm enjoying it. I relate to a lot of the things you say. I have not done any publicity yet, but I have warm connections that just by talking and saying what I'm doing, they trust me because of the last 8 to 10 years I've been doing my stuff.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm working on this, I haven't even built it, but they're like, okay, they turn to the other guy, like, he's doing amazing with this shit. And like, I haven't done anything yet, but they're like, okay, so that's been accumulating in the last couple weeks,
Yeah.
and without even trying to call any prospect, I have 10 clients that are waiting for me to
Let's
build something.
go.
Yeah, all of them I have talked about the ticket that I will be selling. It's pretty much the same you're selling, but transferred to Mexican pesos with the cost of life here. So I made my research; it's a
Sure.
little bit cheaper, but they're all great clients, great tickets, different industries, all of them. And so right now, after this call, I'm gonna go with a client that is elevator company. They install elevators and electrical stairs in all Mexico, and they have like 2,000 functioning right now, and they have maintenance teams. They have a lot of things going on, and they reach out to me with a friend that works there, and I built them before I knew anything about AIOS. Just a system I agent, WhatsApp agent, and right now the meeting we're having is presenting it because it works perfectly with everything they wanted. But now I'm going to present my methodology. I adapted it a little bit like yours. I want to do the audit. I want to do the AIOS for sure and start building systems and tools on the AIOS because I see the value there. So I have some questions here that I would like to hop on. one by one. One of them, I don't know if it's a little bit more technical. I know that you deliver it on AIO, you deliver it on Cloud Cowork,
Yep.
and I see that your clients are hopping on Cloud Cowork and doing stuff over there. Do you know if there's another type of delivery that you've seen? I don't know if like Tyler in the AAA does something different, because in Mexico people don't want to mess with stuff. They want you to handle it and just them having the results. So I was wondering if have you explored something where I can build a app, I can own and put in the cloud the iOS or VPS or whatever, and that they can like interact doing these skills and stuff, probably not even going into Claude, or do you think is the only way of doing it, going into Claude?
So I train them how to use it through Cowork. I install it through code, just to clarify that, because
Okay.
I just tie / commands to plain language inside the Claude MD file. Because I find people don't want to learn CLI. However, when you're in Claude Code, you can push through GitHub.
Yep.
You can, like one of my own developers has just built the ability right now to keep a contextual memory on a cloud. I know you can do Claude agents hosted on their cloud, but then you don't get context. You just get the agentic abilities. So right now, they literally, my lead developer just told me this past week, hey, if it's worth speccing, we can create a software connection that allows an online context to be housed so that everyone can have uniform access to skills and such, but they'd still access it through their computers. In trying to answer your question, I mean, all that by way of things that I know are out there right now. People will need to access it somehow.
Okay.
If you're talking about do they just get the results, meaning they're not running interactively with the AI, they just want the output of the skill, then I would think, is that what you're meaning to say?
Kinda. I don't know if there's like the possibility to, I don't know, build the iOS, control it on Mac Mini, and connect it via server, and build them that they can interact via WhatsApp, Telegram, and probably in HTML. You know, and they're like there, and everything that they do there, it goes to the server and the AIOS and keep on doing stuff.
Yeah,
Do you think
you can
that...
absolutely. I mean, Telegram is a built-in part of the AIOS. If you take it that far, you can install Telegram through the dispatch function. Has, even though it's still technically in beta by Claude, has gotten a lot more dependable. I run it right now.
Okay.
It can't push to GitHub and Vercel for me. Your people are not going to need that if they're not technically savvy. So it has some permission problems, but it interacts with my entire Claude setup. I have a desktop and I have a Mac or a laptop, and it, as long as I keep them turned on, I have to run something called amphetamine so that they don't turn off.
Okay. Yeah.
But other than that, dispatches even work. So you could teach them through either tool.
Yeah, I've seen that the important thing is the computer doesn't turn off, and that's why I'm thinking doing it in my computer on my end, so I don't turn on,
absolutely,
don't turn off everything.
You could without any trouble have your own Mac Mini for the client at your house, at your place, your office, whatever, and then you'd have to build it all the way out to include Telegram, or if it were dispatch, it'd be real easy. They could just interact.
And if I do Claude Cowork, what's your take into what you're seeing of the clients using it? Do you think it's easy for them? Have they been learning it well?
Yeah, it's a graphic user interface. No, it just takes what they're used to online through the web app, because everybody's used to ChatGPT or Claude Online.
Yeah.
It just moves it onto their hard drive, and now it's smart. And instead of saying, hey, can you do this thing for me out there? It's bringing it inside their house and saying, hey, can you build me a PowerPoint presentation right now on my computer with my PowerPoint? And by the way, you've got control of all my contract documents and anything inside my sandbox. That's how I position it. I just say it's the power of Claude, which is trained on everything else, on your computer trained on your business, and we build the architecture that makes it function.
Because Cloud Cowork can do even more stuff in your computer than Cloud Code sometimes, right?
Yep.
Like built in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, built-in functionality. Claude Code, you have to
Yeah.
build it yourself. Claude Cowork, you just turn it on.
Exactly.
Like, it's kind of crazy, but it's true. Now, that functionality is limited to whatever they built into the package. So, is it the same? No. Claude Code is much more robust, but for the average user, totally unnecessary.
Yeah, and what I'm selling is the infrastructure, right?
Correct.
All the context, the layer 1 and 2, right?
Yep, that's what I sell. Now, I don't get into layer. I don't use those words with the client.
I know.
I'm just explaining it's smart. We train it on their data. That's what we're doing. So, and then it provides us the ability, as you've heard me say, to build all the other things. And then I would give them examples of those other things and give them the option to buy those things right then in the pitch, so that they're not, somebody today, I was with a person. He was like, man, I'm not sure, like, I need something that monitors my margins. And I'm like, well, where would you normally find that data? Well, it's over here, but then I get in that software and it's like so many numbers and it's overwhelming. I'm like, that's a perfect use case. If you can export that report, drop it in here monthly, anytime you want to pull it up, here's a dashboard I'll build for you that reads the numbers and the way you want it, we'll dial it. He's like, that's perfect. So that's what we're building. Like, a context that I can lay any of those things in. It will cross-reference it against what I built in as his mission, vision, values, why, his intent, etc., plus his daily functionality or schedules. And then when I drop that piece in there, it knows how to represent those things in a way that's consistent with the brand and the person using them more than the brand.
Okay. And right now that I'm going with this client, the next step will be the audit. So I've never done an audit. That's like one of my tasks I need to do. I've done audits in my consulting business, but not for this. And is there do you use the task audit command for them, or do you have like a list of questions you have built on of everything the context needs? I know there's audit flow, but I want to go before the audit flow era.
Yeah.
How were you doing it? So I understand and build with Claude the 6-step guide, because I have my plot, everything. I can go there and talk, but I don't want to miss a question. I don't want to go to build my stuff and I don't have all the information. And when you have the information, how do you distribute it when you're programming the AIOS? If you just have introduce.
Yeah. So I have set up. That's a lot of questions. Let me try to answer them as fast as I can. No, I want to give them to you as much as I can. So even with audit flow, I cross-reference it against my own system. I built my own system first. It's a system that's analyzing in tiers or sections. So tier 1 is literally just helping me ask questions well of the person based on their role within the company. C-suite, keeping it high level. By the time I get to key stakeholders or managers or operators inside the business, I'm going very deep on what they do functionally. I'm thinking in terms of the company, the team, and the person. That's traditional consulting. But with the leadership, the higher up, I'm covering all those bases. And the further I go into the U-shape, right, I'm getting only into the task layer. I don't use audit task as far as the / command. I'm sure you could. I have not.
Okay.
I might use it this time as I scope and I really get into the weeds on a particular, when I start to hone in on a solution. But in the beginning, I don't need to audit every task because I haven't done the general sifting. So think of it in layers. I want to get rid of the big rocks first, and get down before I get down to the gold. I went to the owner today. I met with him for 3.5 hours, and I learned a lot about what their problems are. This is a small company, a team of 4. There's no chance I go tomorrow and I find some massive nugget I didn't expect to find. However, I am going to find refining, and that's where I might use the audit task when I get into a very specific thing. But at that point, I've dialed in on 5 to 10, 20, whatever it is. Not 20, 5, 10, maybe 15 at the most, solutions that I would recommend. I'll bring home my information from those Q&As and then feed it into my own system, come up with new sets of questions, email, phone call, whatever I got to do with those clients to
Okay.
dial in
Okay.
deeper. There's no way for
Okay.
me to exhaustively
Get
scope a
everything.
project in a day or two. It's just not possible.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
Like you go back and you get more
you
questions,
have to.
and then you go
Yeah,
back with them.
yeah.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
even say things like,
And
"Hey, I had this idea. Am I even going the right way on this?
okay.
Or my research surfaced this. Does this sound like something you'd be interested in?" So, and then when I give them the proposal and I give them the price, I do it like a builder, and I say, "Hey, here's our best guess. This is what I think it." If you've ever seen one of those home shows where they tear out the wall and suddenly it's mold, and they're like, "Oh, you just spent another 10 grand." We joke a little bit. We're like, it's not going to be like that. But as we get into this, you may find, oh, I really want to add this feature, and that's a pretty
Yeah.
significant architectural change. So just know this number is representative of what we think it's going to cost, but that could go up or down depending on the you know how you respond as we get into it. At some point, we'll lock the scope, and anything outside of that would be a new SOW. So
And the first questions you get is something you're being like understanding with every client you have been going. It's not like, oh, I knew this question from the beginning, so you just started talking and then you started building the Q&A, or did you ask Claude and saw the context and layer and the data layer to see not to miss those and build a questionnaire? Like, how did you start building the audit?
that's a great question. So my primary question and I'm pulling something up now for you. My primary question that I led with, like when I got my first client, first is the most important question I ended up asking, because they knew they wanted AI. They didn't know what they wanted. They just wanted AI because they wanted AI. My first question was, hey, what do you hate most about your job?
Okay.
Dude, that's so helpful. People
It's like, what's your biggest problem? Like,
people
what's your
love
biggest
to talk about
problem?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's basically like, what would you pay me the most to get rid of?
Yeah.
Um, so here is some example questions from today. What are your strategic goals for the next 12 to 24 months, especially around operational efficiency and technology? This is a CEO question. How would you define success? They said they wanted to be a tech forward company. I said, great. How would you find success for that? And how can we measure your progress in that? And then at some point after we've had a couple questions, I say, hey, can I just ask you a question? Like, what's the thing behind the thing? Like, what's really driving your push into AI? Why am I really here? For you as a business owner, you personally, and we'll get to something, and I'll say, when you envision AI working in your business, like, what does that look like? And then I get into, bottleneck questions and, where do you tend to wait on people for information? Where do they wait on you? Where do things break? Where do you lose things? If you're going to lose a client, why do you most likely lose them? If something's going to break, what is it? You know what I mean? Let's walk through one of those step by step. Like, so I go in
you
with,
gotta follow the conversation.
yeah, you follow the conversation. Thank you. Like, so I have 25 questions here, but I don't go on a line. I wait to see how they respond, and then I'll come around it, and then I'll go back and come around. So more than answers, I'm looking to have a cloud of context from them, because the AI will sort through it and hear perfect signal. I will chase something down the maze until I feel like I've gotten enough, and then I'll back out, and then I'll go a different direction. So, but I'm not randomly asking questions, as you can tell. So sometimes I hone in on a very practical step, and I really want to hear that, and then I'm like, we got too deep. Let's go back here and see this. So I'm trying to get a picture of their business that's 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional in my brain, so I understand how their business works. And today I was able to
diagnose.
Yeah. Today I was able to look at the owner and say, you're the problem. And they said, yep, I am. I was like, well, we can fix that.
That's easy.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't say the problem. I said, the problem is you're the bottleneck. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, you're going to have to trust, and you're going to have to quit people with really good resources to not need you anymore. But when you do that, the thing you actually hired me to do, which is 25% your revenue, is going to work. So if you want that, let's go here. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
And in your expertise building iOS and the solutions that come after, what percentage of the solutions are uh, like cloud code deliverables, skills, abilities, stuff that you could actually build if you are like me, that you don't have
Sure.
a background. I know you have your team, but just a percentage, like,
Yeah.
okay, 70% of the stuff I could do it right now, but 30%
Mm-hmm.
of the tools, not of the billing, because probably this 30% will be very expensive, but of the activity you're giving, of the
Yeah.
tools you're giving, what percentage do you think it is?
I think I would say 75% is a real number.
Wow.
I'm running on
Nice.
75% margins. I can tell you that. So like all in. Um, and that's because, as you've said, the things I need developer for are more expensive. So it
Yeah.
changes the scale. But um, I expect I'm all of the AIOS, anything that needs a skill, anything that doesn't need a production ready level of development. It's a single user or a small team of users I can build. Anything that would involve, you're doing it with your Claude code hooked up to Supabase, hooked up to Vercel, and hooked up to GitHub. It will tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's only the expensive things that I would consider myself legally obligated for some sort of, I don't want to make sure I say this correctly, things that could have a financial or legal repercussion. I want to have a developer's eyes on. Things that might
Okay.
mess up and be inconvenient, I'll do it. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, but even then, the stuff that I'm able to crank out even this week has blown my mind. Where I'm like, whoa, okay. Um, I could do all that and hand it off to a developer to check the code as opposed to build it from the ground, and that's so much cheaper.
Yeah. And right now, do you have you seen this thing and the workflow, dynamic workflow from Claude that you can? It just went out a couple days ago that you
I
give
haven't.
them. It's a group of agents that could see. You can launch like 1,000 of them. So you give them your code and your everything, and it will burn out all your tokens, of course, but if it will be cheaper than a developer,
So you said scale
and
Claude writes the script for
and
tasking.
and they could go and check all your code and see all the failures in everything. One of them will do NCP, one of them will do something else. So
Yeah.
they will do, so like you could launch 40, 100, 200 agents doing one thing for you and
Wow.
one goal.
I will
Yeah, that's
look into
crazy.
that. I'll say this. I use a Ralph loop regularly. Are you familiar with Ralph Wiggins?
I'm not.
Okay, it's an American cartoon called Simpsons from the 80s. It got resurfaced by developers because he was a guy who just did quality assurance loops. And so
Huh?
you have, I'll spin up multiple agents on my own computer and have them run tests against the diagnostic and go back and forth. If it's something I want eyes on, I'll be the liaison.
I need to do that.
Spinning
Yeah.
up one and two. One will build. I send it to two, who checks the code. I go back and forth. But you can have agents. You can build Ralph loops into agents and say run 4
Interesting.
cycles, run 5 cycles. Always verify your code, and it will. And it just and
Wow.
don't tell me until you've done it. And I have found it check out on 3 loops, and it's good. I've seen it need to go 5, but it finds them so well. But I love the sub agents. What I like to do, that's an agent Ralph looping itself. What I really like to do, as much as I can, is have different agents looking, because their
Yeah.
context is fresh every time, and they're not repolluting themselves with their same idea. So what you're talking about, this is great. I pulled it up on my computer. I'll look at it later.
Yeah, yeah. And it seems great. It just came out. I haven't used it. I'm not even that techie, but it took my attention. What else? What I wanted to ask? Uh, can you give me an example of a demo you give to a client? Just don't show it, but just tell me the regular example. When you finish the audit, you show your AIOS price, all the things they want, and say, okay, this is a demo if of what the puppy dog, as you say,
Sure. Yeah. Puppy
uh,
dog clothes. Yeah.
and
100%.
and and uh, what's one of the demos you give, just to
Yeah.
understand?
I do a couple of different demos regularly. Those that show the best are either experiential or visually dynamic. So I use like lovable dashboards when I can process things they're used to seeing in spreadsheets without having understanding inside of a financial dashboard.
Okay.
My most robust solution that we pushed so far is still in development, but it is a 4 or 5 module financial dashboard for a $50 million plus company that gives them insight to all kinds of things they've never been able to see before about themselves, because
Okay.
the industry they're in runs on antiquated software. So to suddenly be able to give them such insight's a huge deal. I literally pull it up, and it's full of reds and greens and blues and red. And I'm literally aesthetically pleasing, and they can query it, so and interact with the AI. So that is a truly mind-blowing thing when it notices patterns in their financial data that they've never noticed before. That's also just an enormous advantage financially when you can see your own margins, see where you oversell, undersell. Just intelligence. People don't have it in a lot of
Yeah,
industries.
because most of the builds and stuff you're saying, as if we go to the beginning, is with the co-work and they using it. But if you do a demo, it needs to be something visual. So
It has to
you
be.
just need to find something on the
Correct.
audit. They say, okay, let's do this. It's a quick win and something they could see.
Correct.
And it shows something. So
But
it's just to find
on the
that.
other level, I will take I will have it run one of my skills in front of them that's very dynamic. That will ask me 4 or 5 questions. After I answer it, it will write an email, write a document, create a PowerPoint presentation, and put a drafted email in my draft folder. So then I go, oh, look, here's the contract, here's the presentation, and here's the email, and I didn't do any of it.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're like, oh my God. And I will say to them, like, I'll say, hey, pull a phase 1 sequence for a new client. And it will say, great, Eric, here's the questions you asked me to ask you. I'll answer it, and I'll say, can we all agree I didn't do anything? Like, and I click enter, and when we're done, they're like, that looks like the presentation you just showed us, or that looks like the email you gave me. And I'm like, yeah.
And, yeah. and I have, this is a question like following that one, the last one I have. It's about your presentation. It's very, very, like, how do you say, like, it captures the eye. So I wanted to ask two things. The first one is not about the presentation, is more when you are talking about retainers, because in Mexico they love retainers. They love someone that goes with them all the way for a long time.
Let's go.
So where do you talk about the retainers when you're doing this is AIOS, this and this, but how do you price it? I've seen how you price it, but do you talk about it in the presentation, or after you build everything, you said, okay, these were my packages?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have not had to unlock that yet, so we'll find out. Okay. At this point, I have only decided to provide managed services, right, retainers, between clients. So I will present the first one in 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, whenever I make the presentation. I just started today. But I will go back to my existing corporate clients and present it to them now. But once their builds are finished, it makes a whole lot of sense. However, on my corporate clients, my executive, so I build AIOS, and you've probably heard me say this, the executive side and the operations side. The operations side always has token usage. So there's a keep the lights on cost, right? Just to keep it powered. That price may be $500 a month, and my first retainer would start at $1,500. So they've already spent the $5, and I include it. So I'm trying to make it as easy for them as possible and still have a lot of value. And then at $4,000, they get me as a fractional player in their quarterly board meeting system.
When you have the calculator, you end up this presentation, or do you go to the next slide and say, and these are the retainers?
Yeah,
like
I would think that one.
Okay.
But that, again, I haven't done it yet. So
But even the $500 that for the keeping the lights on, you need to say it, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like, okay, let's build, and then at the end, oh, you need the
yeah. On
$500, or do you put it just in contract? Do you talk about it later? Because
I
I don't know if that's a sales thing, you know.
I may have to move it forward. The $500, they always have to pay for their own Claude subscriptions, and they always have to pay to keep the lights on for the thing we build. That's
Yeah.
just part of the thing.
And where do you tell them that?
That's on the line item page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my
So
okay.
what I don't want to do is overwhelm them.
No.
So there is, I could see where I could sell the managed service contract afterward, and they don't have to choose right now. They do have to know the price. Like, so what I could do, I'm just rapping out loud with you. I don't know. Like, you could list so I list the architecture, I list the line items we're selling them. And then in the next page, I could say, now let's talk about, these are the build costs. Let's talk about ongoing costs. Hey, you're going to need in order to make this happen, you're going to need your Claude subscription. You're going to need this afterthought. It's going to be $500 a month to keep this on. And here's the other ways we can do that. And then I've got the managed services. Maybe that way.
I'll try because here they will say like, okay, it's fine, but after you build, what? So I think every time I present, they were I will need to go to that
Yep.
part and say, okay, these are the
Yep.
different type of following ups I could be doing with you.
Yep.
But just lights up, then building once a month, or in the middle,
Correct.
just meeting and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, for me, it may work on the page too, where you talk about their ongoing costs, but also cost to repair things, like future engagement costs. So to me, I build in 5 hours of repair work inside of that, either one of those tiers, so that they know. I build in 5 hours so that I can't lose money to the first tier. It's $1,500 a month. You get 5 hours of downtime, whatever. We would work on that for you. At the fractional CEO level, CAIO level, it's unlimited. But they also get a free solution each month. They also get a quarterly call. They also get a monthly call. So a quarterly strategy call, monthly check-in, some dashboard features, etc. That really make it come alive to them.
Because that's a smart thing, because if they know the tech goes faster than anything, so they need someone that's there in the edge with the information. Correct. Changing stuff. So that's why if they hop on the wave, as you say, they cannot just keep themselves in the starting wave. They need
Correct.
to go and hop on the wave with all of us. So
yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. And just to end the question before I have to go with the client, what platform do you use to do your presentation? Like, do you use PowerPoint? Do you use Canva? Do you use blah blah blah? The one you use normally to create your stuff?
The one I normally do, I work inside of my Claude code. After I've gone, because it built my whole audit process. At the end of it, I built a presentation skill. I want my presentations to look the same.
Yeah.
So it's codified. And then it in that vernacular, it says, hey, create a lovable style presentation. It always makes it look the same.
And it does an HTML that becomes something.
So I push it to Git, hold it in Supabase,
I did the same.
Put it on Vercel, and then I just pull up a URL. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
That's right.
So it's
exactly.
Perfect. Okay.
And then when I leave, I just send them the URL and it stays active.
Yeah, and then you can edit there and stuff.
Correct.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And that's what you're selling them. They're like, "What can you do this?" I'm like, "Yes, we can."
Yeah. And that was 1 minute of talking with my computer. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
They don't pay you for time, they pay you to know how.
Exactly. That's gonna change. Now you cannot measure with time, because if you measure with time, you will work for free.
Forever. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's one of the biggest barriers people have when you're coming out of hourly labor or you're working for somebody else. Exactly. And you become your own boss. When you start to realize you're charging for value, not for time. That was my biggest obstacle too. Like, everybody has to face it.
I'm there because I don't see anyone doing the things I'm doing with entrepreneurs and small companies here in Mexico, in my area. So I will try to be the reference of what I would have paid. I don't know if I'm cheap or expensive, but you need to start somewhere.
You start somewhere. And it's a game. As long as you can just make it an iterative game, like, well, that didn't work, I'll try this. Like, you just have to be fluid and not be married personally to the outcomes, as if they were a reflection on your value.
sometimes you will work a lot and say, what did I do? And sometimes you will give so much value for so less money that you will say, okay, let's don't do that.
That's right.
You need to get all the knowledge. But I think those were pretty much all my questions, and I feel ready. I have my
Okay.
presentation, I have
Yeah.
everything.
If
So
if anything I've learned from you in the last 30 minutes, you ought to trust yourself at this point, man. You know what you're doing. You're dialed in. You'll be fine. Just know you're never going to get it right the first time. And about the
no, I
time you
know.
get it right, the goal's going to move anyway. So just keep after
Uh,
it.
I'm fine with not getting it right, but for myself, but I need to get it right for them.
That's
So
exactly right. That's exactly right.
that's the only goal. So I need to get it right for
Yep.
them, and I just
Well
wanted to
done.
have some pictures. So
And
yeah,
if you don't quit,
thank
if
you.
you're going to stay around, if it's about the relationship for you, you're going to do well.
Okay, thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Absolutely, David. My pleasure.
Bye
All right, Daniel.
bye.
Sorry, I said David.
Yeah, no, no
We'll
worries, no
talk soon.
worries.
And look, raise your hand on those Q&A calls on Monday nights. I'd love to have you on. I want to hear how it goes. So
Okay,
next week, Monday, join us again and we'll talk then.
I will.
Thank you, brother.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye. All right, friends. That is my guy, Daniel. Daniel and I know each other from the AAA Accelerator, where I am one of the business coaches to help people grow and scale their own AI businesses so they can serve other people. That's my motto, as you know. I want to build businesses that matter. So right here on the Build Show, we are concerned with, woo, look at that. See, my camera goes out and gets all this paperwork. I love it. We are concerned with building legacy businesses that help people grow and scale companies that serve other people and change their own life and change the world. So I love what David was saying there at the end. Like, he's not concerned about whether or not it works out for him, right? He's worried about if it works out for his clients. And so when you have a heart to serve other people and you're committed to become the kind of person that can do that, honestly, you just don't quit. That's the last ingredient. You can't lose if you don't quit. If you're committed to iteration, to changing, to becoming the person who can handle the kind of business you want to run, that's going to be a mental change. That's going to be a heart level change. That may even be a physical change for you, because it takes all those kinds of resources. But if you will commit to not being married to an idealistic perspective about your own personality, but you're like, you know what, I'm going to change who I am. Not in a bad way. We glorify personality, but it's just your personal reality. So we actually have to change how we act, how we talk to. I was reading my quiet time this morning, and the Bible's very clear. Like, a fool does this, a fool does that, a lazy person does this, and the whole point is change. Don't be a lazy person. It says a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and suddenly scarcity will come on you like a thief. Suddenly you'll be overtaken by lack, right? By these moments. Well, not the wise person. The wise person sleeps enough, prioritizes sleep, but then gets up, especially during the harvest. And right now, for those of us in the tech space, for those of us launching new businesses, some people see famine everywhere. But for those who have the ears to hear and the eyes to see it, there is opportunity everywhere. Man, and a hard time may be coming, but it is not right now for those who are willing to change and to look for it. I had to have a massive overhaul of my own heart to lay hold of the opportunities that the Lord's put in front of me now. I was raised in a huge business, as you know, my family, $453 million empire, but my parents gave all of it away. And so I was not even aware of how successful we were as a family through that time. But I was in the ministry myself for 30 plus years. And so I had to do a lot of reconditioning. The Lord had to tear down a lot of things in my heart that just thought I ought to give everything away for free, which sounds like it has merit. But actually what happened was I just didn't think I was worth anything. I thought everything had to be free because what I offered was not valuable. And it took a dear friend of mine saying, hey, can I pay you a lot of money to come talk to me about this AI stuff? For me to realize how valuable wisdom and insight, when combined with capacity and technical ability in any sector, is so obviously the path to wealth. when you combine it with a heart to serve. So when all that got taken off of my heart, and really what I'm talking about is a sense of worthiness. When you believe you're worthy, and then you are committed to change, to become someone else that you're not. Because I was talking to a buddy last night, and I said, folks who haven't made $1 million yet, unless they've truly just said, I don't want to, the reason they haven't is because they can't. It's because they don't know what it takes. They haven't done what's necessary. So even if they had the cognitive ability, it's only arrogance that they would say that, because until you have the reps, confidence without the reps is just cockiness. But when you've done it, you know how hard it is, suddenly you find yourself very humble. Only, there are people obviously who let their pride puff up. But if you're not endeavoring to be that person, the only reason you haven't run a $10 million business because you don't know how to make $10 million yet, or you would have. So part of our goal with the Build Show is to take this family legacy, this enterprise level business knowledge that the Lord's given our family, and we've been able to prove it now, 22 different companies, 453 all in, million, and teach the system by which, if you will just apply this wisdom to new opportunities, and there are certain checkpoints and there are certain non-negotiables, and it is not easy, but it is simple, and follow the plan, you will succeed. And part of my goal right now with my AI company, my media company, is to do it again in public. And so that's what this show is about. That's what the Builders Society is about. That is the school community that I'm quiet launching. I'm not publishing it yet, not pushing anybody. If you happen to be one of the few people that listens this far, you're all like one of 20 total people in the world that even knows it exists. But when we go public with it this fall, after I've got quite a bit of it built out, it's going to be there so that people can build along with me. This time we're not doing it with a team. There's no employees. Solopreneur, doing it by myself, just trying to follow the plan again that's clearly laid out to say, okay, this is how we know as a family to build a very successful business, and then to do it with me so that I can do it with you and we can learn from each other. But I know the path. We've done it 100 times, and it's not luck at this point. The Lord's just been kind to show us how it works. And so here we are going to do it again in public. I hope that is helpful. If you want to learn more about that, it's school.com /the Builders Society. And links, I think, are in the description below. Love to have you there. Friends, that's it for today. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you next week, Tuesday, same time, same channel. We'll talk soon. Bye.